pets make our life better? Would anybody like to shout out before I bring up some answers? Why are pets so good for us?
That's so cute.
They're so cute. Let's give Emily a big clap. Wow, they are so cute. Are you cute? Are you cute, Silver? Well, she wants to run right now. Okay, any other answers? You're absolutely right, Emily. What about a fear? What do you think? Why are pets so good for us? Oh, Charlotte. Why do you think pets are so good for us? Charlotte, what do you think?
Oh, I don't know, a bit of company.
They're company. They're cute and they're company. Well done. Is that right, Afia? Is Mummy right? Are they good company? I think Mummy's right. What about Max and Aaliyah? Why are pets so good for us?
Because they're soft.
Because they're soft, yes, absolutely. Thank you for that. Any more answers?
Maybe when you're walking them, you can get some exercise yourself.
Excellent. They're very good for us because they help us get exercise. Well, pets might not be able to speak, but they can hear you loud and clear. Let me tell you a very interesting story about many years ago. I used to work in a children's home. Welcome, everybody. All right. I was a social worker, trained up to look after these young children. They were teenagers and they were living in this home. And my boss had a beautiful dog called Max. Now, one day my boss said to me, Grace, me and my husband, we're going to go to Spain. And we're going to ask you to take charge because I was like the second boss. So this is Max. I know you've never looked after a dog before, but there's his food. You've got to take him out for walks and you've got to give him lots of love. I says, yes, Elsie, I'll do all of that. No problem. Max was the most beautiful dog, beautiful dog. So they went to Spain. And that Max, you couldn't even say the word walkies. If you said the word walkies, he would jump up and bark. You had to say the word yellow pages. Now, yellow pages is an advert saying, let your fingers do the walking. So yellow pages meant walkies. Yes, that's it. And he understood it. One day at home, thank you, Tam, I got this phone call from Spain. I said, hello, who's that? It was Elsie's husband. He was really distressed. I said, what's wrong? What's wrong? Oh, Elsie's not well. You're going to have to arrange to get an air ambulance and bring her back to London. She fell ill in Spain and I had to organize for an ambulance to bring her back with her husband. It was a sad story. I mean, she did survive for a few years. But my point is, do you know what? As soon as I got this call and I said that, Max just went under the chair, the dog, and he refused to eat for 3 days. He knew, that dog knew that something had happened to his owner, even though Elsie was in another country far away. It got to the point I had to sit down. I says, look, Max, please, your owners have asked me to look after you. They need you. You've got to eat. You've got to come out on a walk with me because anyhow you get sick, Elsie's never going to get better. And I'll tell you who will vouch for this. You know, your Auntie Carolyn, Ashley and Emily, your Auntie Carolyn, she met Max because we went down to the coast to visit, to stay a few days. And after I spoke to that dog, he started eating again. Now that's a very interesting story, okay? This is the first quiz, everybody, okay? Which popular pet belongs to the Felidae family? Is it a dog, a rabbit, or is it a cat? It's a majority answer. The chances are you're right. Let's check to see if you're right. So we've got a majority C for the right answer. If you got cat, give yourselves a big clap. Whoa! And guess what? We don't just mean the small little cat, which is in the home, the domestic cat, but we mean lions and tigers and cheetahs and leopards. They are all from the cat families. Now, this is a tricky one, or is it? In the wild, rabbits construct special enclosures, but what are they called? Are they called A, burrows? Are they called B, rabbit hills? Or are they called C, warrens? Now, I said this was a tricky one. A, burrows, B, rabbit hills, or C, warrens? Okay, let's have a look and see. Now, this one has fooled you, some of you. Some of you've got it 100% right. Now, Tamsin, I might ask you to come in just to give me the clarification, because I thought it was one answer, but it seems it's this answer. Am I right, Tamsin? If you got C, warrens, Tamsin, what do you think?
I think technically you could say A or C.
Right.
Warren and burrow are two different words, but they mean the same thing. And what it means is an underground sequence of chambers.
Yes.
Rabbits actually live under the ground.
Yes. Yes. I see what you mean. They live under the ground. And the reason why I like this particular, look at this image. Now, sometimes you might have seen a hole in the ground, but you had no idea that if you delve deeper under this hole, you see an entrance. There's the entrance, and you see this bigger hole. And then right at the bottom, right deep at the bottom of this hole, there will be what would you call a group of bunny rabbits? I don't even know what they're called, actually. Tamsin, what's a group of bunny rabbits called?
It's a warren of bunny rabbits.
Oh, a warren of, there you see, a warren of bunny rabbits, just like this. I thought this was fascinating. I just wanted you to see this picture. So next time you see a hole, a burrow in the ground, this is what will be underneath it, okay? Thank you for that, Tamsin. So let's go further. What is the colour of all cat's eyes when they are born? Aren't they cute? Blue for A for blue. B, green, or do they have yellow eyes? Do cats have blue eyes when they're born? Do they have green eyes when they're born? Or do they have yellow eyes when they're born? Majority of you put blue eyes, actually. That's a very good answer if you put blue eyes. You've all put blue eyes, I think, yeah? All of you, I'm checking, you've all put blue eyes. One person's put, yeah, you've all put blue eyes. You're all in agreement. Now, I wonder how come you know that, because I didn't know that, but then you're a lot clever than me, aren't you? Hey? You definitely are more clever than me. So here we go. Let's have a look and see. Hooray! Well done, well done, well done. Here, look, I'm going to introduce Tamsin to you. She's a clinical animal behaviorist. She's a veterinary nurse. She's been working 20 years before the Dog Trust. She used to work with the Blue Cross, which is a hospital. If you have an animal, the animal's sick, you can take them to an animal hospital.
Thank you.
So you might have a question to ask Tamsin.
I had cognitive behavioural therapy last year, you know, well, not last year, it was the year before, I don't know, but before lockdown anyway. And then I was working with two people who had dogs that I got used to. I love them, they're gorgeous. And I've been watching all the programmes about dog behaviour and stuff. So I watched the video you put of Tasman and everything. And because I've not been able to meet up with people, I did see my friend for the next road with her little dog in the gardens nearby. And Benji ran up to greet me, and then he brought his friends with him, and they tried to say hello to me, and I'm such a goose. But they were very obedient dogs, and I practiced being in control and saying down, because I didn't want it to jump on me, and it sat down, so it was nice, and I didn't run away, which I would normally do. Yeah, I spent most of my life running away, but I love dogs. I think they're gorgeous, and I want them in my life. You know, I love dogs, and I really wished I could have still followed. I mean, I've still gone to parks, and there's lots of dogs around, and I try to still walk there so that I still get a little bit of my homework therapy, but not what I was having before. But I'm still very interested in animal behaviour, because the more I understand, I've been watching like the Dog Whisperer and Animal Rescue programs. I really enjoy them.
Amazing. Hello, June. Thanks, Carolyn. So do you meet a lot of people, Tamsin, that are afraid of dogs? I think the children will probably want to see Coco, the little ones.
Yes, Coco's here. She's on bed.
Hello, Coco.
Just lying there at the moment. So yeah, we do see quite a few people that are either scared of dogs or they just don't know how to behave, because perhaps they haven't met many dogs, or perhaps when they were little, they got frightened by a dog that suddenly appeared or suddenly woofed, and we get a fright. And then we associate whatever has frightened us, you know, whenever we see something, another dog, we feel frightened again. But that's the same for dogs. So I do a lot of work with dogs who are in rescue centres, so they haven't got any owners. And they are, just like Carolyn's frightened of a dog, we deal with some dogs that are frightened of people.
Yeah.
So it can work both ways. So I'll give you a couple of tips. If you are out and about, kids, and you see a dog, I know a lot of you like animals and you're interested, but sometimes dogs can be very excitable, and sometimes they can be very big and bouncy. And you might think that a smaller dog, well, that's easier, but a smaller dog is just as likely to jump. They can jump quite high just as well as a big dog. So it's really important to know what to do. So when we say, as we saw in our little PowerPoint there, that dogs can't speak. They can't speak English. They can't speak language. They don't talk, but they do communicate with us. So who can think, how does a dog communicate? How does my dog tells me things all the time? How do you think she talks to me? How do you think animals talk to us?
Do they howl and woof?
Yeah.
Oh, woof, woof, woof.
Yes. So one way that they communicate is with their voices. So for example, they have lots of different voices. So you've said two ways. So howling. So that's a howl. So the sound of a howl, that means come back to me. So howling, say if you were all alone, you were lost. If you've ever been lost somewhere and you're like, Mom, that's what a dog is doing when they're howling. They're saying, I'm here, where are you? When they bark, they can bark for lots of different reasons. So a dog who's worried about something might bark like this. A very loud, low bark. But a dog that's frustrated and really excited might bark like this. Really high pitch. My dogs listen to, sorry. So when they're excited, their voice goes quite high and they bark lots and lots. But if they're worried and frightened, they give one big, really loud bark, whoa, because they don't want to draw too much attention to themselves, but they want to make it clear that they're scared. So they can also whine. So you might have heard dogs going, so they can whine. They can also sneeze. That's another way that they communicate. So a dog who's a little bit worried about something, they might get a runny nose, like the way we do. If you're a bit worried, you get a bit dry in the mouth, but you might start sniffing, and a dog might do that as well. So they might sneeze. So they can make lots and lots of noises. They can give a little woof. And when dogs are asleep, if anyone's ever seen a dog who's fast asleep, woof, 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 they give little woofs in their sleep. So they can use their voice. But there's another way that they can communicate. Can anyone think of how else they communicate? It's not just their voice. Shall I give you? I'll give you.
Yes, I think Claire's got the idea, because cats do the same thing, don't they?
Wag tail.
Yeah, brilliant.
Body language. I like this with that.
Body language. I heard somebody say the magic word. So yes, their tail, their ears, their face.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah.
I think Kamani was trying to say with their paws. Sometimes they point like that.
Yes, of course. And someone else, thank you for that, Kamani.
Licking.
And someone else said licking. Is that right? Licking as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is brilliant. And Kamali, well done, because they do use their paws an awful lot. So they communicate with their body language. So they, even though they can't speak our language, they can tell us how they're feeling. And I think it's really important that we remember that just as we can feel different emotions, our dogs can feel emotions as well. So they can feel frightened, they can feel angry and cross. If I were to take my dog's toys away, do you think she would feel upset? Would you feel upset if someone took your toys away? Yeah.
Yes.
So what do you do when you're upset? Do you, if I took your toys away, somebody might shout at me. Someone might cry. Somebody might say, oh, I'm not happy, and just withdraw. I'm just going to go to bed then. Now, dogs can behave in all those ways as well. So if we look at our dogs, their body language tells us how they're feeling. So they can tell us if they're frightened. If a dog is frightened, do you think their tail would be up, swishy? Do you think it would be wagging like this? Or do you think they might tuck it underneath them? What do you think?
Tuck it under.
Yeah, a dog who's really frightened will tuck their tail under, and they'll try and make themselves small, so they might lower themselves to the ground. What do you think they might do with their ears? Say I'm a dog. If I'm frightened, what would I do with my ears?
They go down.
Yeah, they might really flop down, or they might go right, they might pin back like that. So if you see a dog and their ears are flattened back, or they're really tucked down, you would think to yourself, that dog might be frightened. Now, my dog, you can see her here, her ears are nice and loose, they're nice and relaxed, they're floppy down the side of her face. So a dog who's got very relaxed ears, if their tongue is lolling out, and if their eyes are nice and soft and their tail is swishing, and they're standing as is natural, you're going to think they seem to be quite relaxed. If the same dog was to lower themselves to the ground, tuck their ears back, close their eyes and close their mouth and tuck their tail under, that's a dog who's really frightened. If you see a dog who's really frightened, are you going to go to the dog, or are you going to leave the dog alone? What do you think?
Speak loud.
Go to it.
Go to it to comfort it. Yeah, that's really cute. That's a really nice answer. I would say it might be a little bit risky to go to a dog that looks really frightened if you don't know that dog, because a dog who's really, really frightened, even though we might want to go and give it a cuddle and say, it's okay, don't worry, the dog, us just walking towards a dog, putting our hands out like that, hello, that can be really, really frightening. And that might make a dog suddenly go, oh, I'm really, really scared now. And we don't want to scare dogs. So if you ever see a dog that's really frightened, the best thing to do is to walk very calmly away and tell an adult, and they can help the dog. Does that make sense? Don't go near a dog that looks really, really worried, and don't go near a dog who looks really, really cross. How do you think a dog would look if they were cross?
I say it what?
It was.
It woofs, yeah. So a dog who's cross might bark, and they bark in a, not in a sort of woof, woof way. They bark quite loudly, quite forcefully, a bit of a woof, yeah? And they might, if I smile at you, what do? I'm going to smile at you now.
Show your teeth.
Show the teeth. Who said that? That's brilliant. So yeah, so us humans, we look at each other in the face, and we smile at each other, and we stare at each other. So we make what we call eye contact with each other. So we're very, very used to looking at each other right in the face. Now, in the doggy world, dogs don't tend to look at each other in the face. They really don't. If you ever see dogs meeting each other, say this is a dog and this is a dog, they don't meet each other like this. Who knows where they sniff?
They sniff the back.
They sniff the back. Let's just say they sniff around each other's tails.
Yeah.
They sniff each other's bums, don't they? Let's just say it. Let's get it out there. So they do that because their faces is where all their teeth are, and they want to keep their teeth away from each other, which is a very, very polite way of greeting. So dogs won't meet each other like this. They'll meet each other like that. One dog, so they'll sniff each other. That's a very polite way for dogs to meet. So when we're meeting a dog, I'm not going to tell you to go and sniff any dog's bums. That's not how you meet a dog. But my advice would be don't put your face very close to a dog's face and stare at the dog, because in the doggy world that can be quite frightening, and it can be a little bit intimidating. So if you were a dog and I was another dog and I did this to you, it'd be a little bit scary. Whereas if I stood, so if I'm meeting my dog here, what I'm going to do is come from the side and be sideways and say, hello, you're a nice dog, which feels a little bit weird. It's not how we talk to each other. But if you're meeting a dog, that's the best way to meet them, from the side, not from the front, because you're less intimidating. I hope that makes sense.
Why do cats like to like to sit on windowsills and look out of windows? You often see cats, you know, up in people's windows looking out.
Okay, I'm going to give it to you now.
Why would that be? Is there any particular reason?
I'll give it to you on your iPad.
Can anyone think what cats might like to see out of the window in particular?
Other cats?
Other cats, yeah. Even more than other cats.
Can they actually see?
Yeah.
Can they see from a distance? Because she comes into our room, sits on the windowsill, and she's looking down. Yeah. And I'm thinking to myself, what can she see?
Oh, is she looking for prey?
Yes, that's it. So
what did you say? Looking for what?
Prey. Looking for mice or birds or
But anything. Can they see through a window?
Yeah.
I'm really shocked.
Yeah.
God.
So if we think about cats and dogs, right now there are pets, but they used to be wild animals at one point, many, many years ago. And how they survived was through hunting. Now, dogs live in groups. So dogs are very, very social. They're very much like humans. They like to live in families. So they like to live with other dogs and other people. They connect with us very well. But cats generally live by themselves because cats can hunt. They are brilliant hunters. So dogs tend to be more scavengers. A dog will hunt, but they generally just eat whatever they find. Cat, on the other hand, cats like to hunt their own prey. So they'll find their own food. So they would eat mice, they might eat birds. And when we think about dogs and cats' eyesight, we think about our eyesight. Our eyes are on the front of our head, and they look forward, and we can generally see in daylight, can't we?
Yes.
When it's dark, we turn lights on. Now, dogs and cats see much, much better in the dark than they do in the light.
Right.
They can see because their eyes, they have different, their eyes are slightly different to our eyes. They have different cells in their eyes, which mean that they can see better when it's slightly dark. And that's because the animals that they would have used to have hunted, like mice and birds, come out at dawn and dusk.
Right.
So cats' eyes are very, very good at seeing in the dark. And they're also really, really good, much, much better than us at seeing movement. So if I'm a person, if I'm sitting here looking at you and something suddenly whizzes past me, by the time I've looked at it, it's gone. If I'm a dog or a cat, something whizzes past, the minute it appears here, I've locked onto it and I'm following it, and I can chase it and catch it.
Right.
Now, humans can't do that. We're rubbish at that. That's why we've got dogs to help us do that. But a cat, they're expert. So when your cat's sitting at your windowsill, or if you're walking down the street, guys, and you see a cat in the windowsill, that cat saw you long before you saw the cat, because it saw you coming.
That's a very interesting thing.
That's why they do it. And with their hearing as well, dogs and cats, they can hear differently out of each ear. So this ear can move and hear something that's coming from that way. At the same time, this ear can hear something that's over there. So they never miss There could be a mouse there, there could be a bird there. Whichever is closer, they're going to get. So their hearing is much, much better than ours. And that's why our dogs can hear us opening the fridge. They'll hear the opening of a crisp packet. We can't go into the kitchen without the dog suddenly being there behind us going, what are you doing in here? You're going to open the cupboard, get a biscuit out, because she can hear us.
That's incredible. I've got, yes, June. Yeah.
I've got a couple of questions.
Right.
We have mum and a daughter cat. Now, for some reason, the mum is not all the time, but she'll just attack her.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just wondering why. You know, it's not really bad. Don't do that. It's not bad, but sometimes I just don't understand. Is it because of the pecking order? Do I just leave them to it? And there's another thing is we're a house full of allergies.
Mm-hmm.
My cats seem to have allergies. But they're big, they're old cats as well. As soon as February comes, they sneeze and everything. But because they're so prolific hunters, I can't find a collar because they've got allergies to the collars. Once I put the collar around the two of them, and honestly, we took the collar off and it literally it's near its neck. So I'm just wondering. And the third one, would it be fair to introduce another kitten to the little cats if we wanted to?
Okay, so first of all, the allergies. Thank you. Oh, my dog's just delivering me a little heart. That's nice. She knocked it off the side and picked it up to bring it to me. Yeah, I love you too. So first of all, with the allergies, yeah, animals can have allergies just the same as us. They can be allergic to anything just the same as us, which can be really frustrating. It sounds as though if your cats are having the same problem every time of year, that they've got what we would call a seasonal allergy. So it could be that at this time of year, there's something in the air. It could be tree pollen, or you know, some dogs get hay fever, for example, or some cats get hay fever, just the same way as we do. And when it starts getting spring and certain pollens start coming out on the trees and plants outside, animals can have allergies to them in the same way that we do. So that's something to talk to your vet about. With regards to them losing their collars, hopefully they're both microchipped, because even if they won't keep a collar on, the microchip can always identify them. And it's legal now for dogs. Dogs have to be microchipped, which is a microchip is like a teeny little computer chip, and it goes into the loose skin here on the back of their neck, where there's lots of fat. It doesn't hurt them. It just gets injected under the skin, and it's got a little number on it, and that number is the only number in the world of its kind. So my dog is the only dog who's got her microchip number ever, anywhere. So I can always identify her. So I would hope that your cats have microchips. I think it's going to be made law. They want to make it law to have all cats be microchipped as well.
Yeah, the cats are microchipped. It's more that when you put the flea collar around it or whatever, it seems to eat their skin out. They don't, you know.
Yeah,
literally.
The collars sometimes, just by having a collar on the hair, sometimes that can affect the hair from growing, and it looks like they lose their hair because just because of the it's almost stopping just the circulation of air to that to let the skin breathe, and actually can let the cells die a little bit, and they can lose hair. And they can also scratch when they're wearing a collar. A lot of cats don't like to wear a collar, and they remove them. They remove them themselves. So yeah, if it's fleas that you specifically want to treat, I would talk to the vet. Don't use a flea collar. Get something else that you just, a little a medicine that you just drop into the fur.
Okay.
Just quickly, an answer. When you're seeing two cats getting a bit fighty with each other, and this happens, I think, probably in all households, brothers and sisters, we love each other, but sometimes we fight a little bit. Usually, if there's parents nodding, like, yes, they do, usually that's over resources. So it's probably the same with the people that you live with as well. Probably the one thing that we get a little bit cross with each other over is if we all want to use the same thing at once, or we all want to have a shower at the same time, or we all want to use the computer at the same time, or we all want to watch a certain TV program, but we don't want to watch the same one. in the cat world, cats, they don't really like to share. So in the way that I remember, I said that dogs were very, very social and they like to live in groups. Because of that, dogs are quite good at sharing stuff. They are quite good at, one dog will have a toy, another dog will have a toy. They'll look at each other and they'll very slowly swap and they'll play with each other's toys, and then they might swap back. So dogs can share. They might not necessarily always like it, but they can generally share stuff. But with cats, they don't like sharing. So even a mother and daughter, if there isn't enough space for them at one point, if one of them would prefer to be by themselves, but the other one appears, and there's maybe a bowl of food, or there's the comfiest place in the house where one cat wants to be, but the other one is there, then they might have a bit of a scuffle about it. And with cats, that's usually looking at each other, a lot of posturing, a lot of, and then one of them might run at the other, and then it's all over. One of them will take themselves away and think, okay, I'm leaving you alone. And that's always good, guys. If your brother or sister or parent or whatever is a bit, just take yourself away, let everybody calm down. But what I would say is just make sure that they've got plenty of places where they can eat, drink, hide. So with cats, they don't like to eat in the same place. They don't like to sleep in the same place unless they're really, really bonded. So if you were going to introduce another kitten, you would have to make sure that each of those 3 cats had their own designated space, because it might be that you bring another kitten in and mum and daughter both go, there's not enough space for another one. So I would think very carefully about bringing another cat in, because it sounds like they wouldn't like it.
Okay. Naya and Quincy, you've got a pet cat, haven't you? Yes. What's your cat called?
Yeah.
What's he called?
Nubian.
Is he around?
No. He's downstairs. Yeah,
Have you got any questions you'd like to ask Tamsin about your cat, or about any animals or anybody? Yeah, have a think about it. Yeah, have a think about it. Okay. Anybody else has any more questions?
Effie was asking about whiskers.
Oh yeah, whiskers, cat's whiskers.
Yeah, that's a good question. So it's a really good question, actually, because whiskers are really, really important. So cats have whiskers, dogs have whiskers as well. They not only have whiskers, but they also have eyebrows. Not massive eyebrows like ours, but they have a few eyebrow hairs that can grow actually really quite long. So the reason that they have whiskers is to help them navigate the world. You do it. Yeah, good girl. Very good. There you go. Okay. But copying is not the only way that we get dogs to behave, because there are some things that I can't do and that I might want her to do. So there are other ways that we can get our dogs to do things that we want, that we can then reward. And one of them is called luring. So that means I've got the reward in my hand and I just lure the dog so I can guide her into the behaviour I want. So I want her to turn around on the spot. So I'm just going to lure her around on the spot and then give her the treat. If I do that a couple of times, good girl, she learns that going round in a circle following the little sausage works out well for her, so she does it again and again. Good dog. So now, what if I don't want to carry a sausage forever? What I do now is put the sausage in this hand and just use this hand to guide her around and then reward her. So this is making sure that she won't always do that little trick, that I don't have to be holding a sausage, because otherwise I'd be carrying sausages everywhere. So I've got an empty hand, twist, good dog. The next step is to put a word to it. So I call it twist. So as I guide her around, I say twist, and then I give her the treat. Once I've done that lots and lots, because dogs learn through repeating things, the more they repeat things, the more they remember them, I can now not need to use my hand at all and just say twist. Yeah, good dog. So she's learned that through repetition. through me saying twist every time and through getting the sausage at the end of it. Now that she's learned the twist, I don't want her to get dizzy, so I've taught her to go the other way as well. Spin. Yeah, good dog. Spin. Good dog. And I can make her work a little bit harder before she gets the sausage and get her to go around twice. Spin. And spin. Yeah, good dog. Lovely. So I use the same technique to get her to do lots of things. So she can bow. Ta-da! Good girl. She can walk backwards. Good dog. She can sit. Can you beg? Yes, good girl. Fit. Good. And she can walk through my legs as well. Ready? Legs. Legs. No, go around. Legs. 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 Yay, good dog. I'm not going to make her do too much before she gets her sausage, because she's been a very good dog, aren't you? Touch. Yes, good girl. Brilliant. So just the very last thing I want to show you is teaching her how to do what police dogs do. So police dogs are trained to find drugs or explosives, things that are dangerous and might hurt us. Now, I'm not teaching Coco to find explosive or drugs because I'm not allowed to have explosive or drugs because that would be dangerous. So I'm using an oil, a truffle oil, which is just it's a bit like olive oil or, yeah, essential oil that you might have, like lavender. It smells quite strong. What I've done is inside this sealed glass container, you can see all these cotton buds. Now, inside the glass container here, there's a little tea strainer, and inside that tea strainer is a piece of material, this red felt stuff, with one drop, just one teeny drop of the oil on. But because of the way that the air circles in there, it lifts out the scent of that teeny drop of oil, and that teeny drop of oil, all the molecules from it have infiltrated this piece of fabric and all of these cotton bud tips. So what I'm going to do, this is how we teach police dogs how to find things. So I'm going to pop Coco out of the room and I'm going to hide one of these cotton buds somewhere here, and I'm going to bring her in and she's going to search for it because she's learned to search for this particular smell. Now, if I open this jar, whoops, and if I let you smell it, you can't, it doesn't, to me, it doesn't smell of anything. But because dogs' noses are so incredible, they have so many more of the little receptors that pick up scent in there than we do. They can smell so much better than us. So she's gonna, hopefully, we don't say hopefully, we know she's gonna do it. She's gonna be able to find this. So let me pop her out of the room and I'll hide it, and you can see her having fun trying to find it. Okay, can you wait outside? Good girl, can you sit? Very good. Wait there. Okay, I'm just going to shut the door. Good dog. Okay, let's get one of these out. I'm using my tweezers because I want to try not to touch it myself. There you go. So hopefully if I compare that to my finger, you can see how small it is. Let's pop the lid on the jar. Otherwise she'll smell that, even though I can't, and she'll say, they're all in there. So I'm going to tuck it here. Oops. So I've got a little old suitcase here, and we'll just slip it. There we go. There we go. So just put it into position. So it's just here with the old tennis bats here, just tucked in there, but it could be anywhere. She's going to have to try to smell it, and let's see how she does. Let's just put her bed out of the way and we'll get her back in. Go here. Good girl, can you sit? Good. So how does she know she's looking for it? I'm going to tell her by the way that I set her up. So as you can see, she's sitting there. I'm going to put my hands over her nose and tell her, truffle, go find it. And now she's on the search. She's nearly there. Have you got it? Yes, good girl. So I threw her treat right here so that she can get the treat. Can you show me? Show me. Yes, good girl, brilliant. Yes, good girl, there you go. Excellent. So she found that really, really quickly. What a superstar. What a very clever dog. Yeah, you better take a bow. You better take a bow. Are you ready? Ta-da! Good girl. I'll give her a little clap. Thank you very much, everyone. Thank you for listening. And I hope you really enjoyed our chat and seeing Coco doing some tricks and doing a lovely search there. What a good dog. Take care, everyone. Bye.
Clap for that. Woo!